Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet. I am your host, Michael Karvelis, and this is Daily Dive. It is Monday, March the 9th, 2026, and this show begins now. We're live streaming via the airwaves of North American Talk Radio on YouTube, and we appreciate you subscribing to that channel. We have Troy from Ottawa Black Bears fandom. He's saying OBB, and what a win it is. We'll get to that. On today's awesome show, I'm going to talk to Captain as he will help us review and overreact to the NLL week number 15. I'll also get to my Lunchbox award, and of course, Pat Gregoire, who is not able to be here this morning, has given me his nominees and Greggy's Grinder of the Week. Our good friend Captain wants to know, is it time for a change? And then I'll get to my 3 stars of the weekend. Before we get started, this show is presented by the merchandise found at natalkradio.us/NLL. When you go to that awesome website, you get the NLL merchandise found at the Amazon store link. So we appreciate you for helping on the show in ways that only you can. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to bring in my good pal, Captain, who, listen, the ladders have been difficult, but the safe ones, you've been really good again. We're like step 3 again. It's great.
It's, I got thinking, I'm like, am I really going to be upset if I hit 3 $1,000 ladders and not one $10,000 ladder? Like,
What
it's almost
could
like,
have been?
it's like winning a silver medal. Like, you're still won something, but like, man,
Yeah.
I want that next tier up, you know?
Yeah, I mean, listen, man. What burned me is I've been hot. I'm still 2-2. My alfalfa thing is killing me right here. Anyways, I was still 2-2 this weekend on best bets. I was tied with Pat Gregoire for the best of the week. And despite all that, 2 safe ladders started out for me. Both of them were minus 200 or worse odds, and I got screwed. Georgia and Colorado, I'm not happy. So whatever. You want to do the let's do Toronto, Vancouver. Obviously, we're going to chronological order here. I don't know if you saw this game late on Friday. It was well worth the watch. I tweeted out that the third quarter in Vancouver was exactly why I believe in the sport of box lacrosse. The action, the intensity, when you combine it with the stakes of that one team is supposed to be really good, another team just got beat by their arch rival and still came out there and punched you in the mouth early. It was intense. It was dramatic. All of it. The athletes were shining. I loved every bit of it. But the Rock, right to the booty hat cheeks of the Vancouver Warriors, 13-10. That was not as close. That was not as a blowout as it actually was. It seems only 3 goals, but it was brutal. 9,700 people showed up reportedly. Toronto improves to 7-5. Vancouver drops to 9-4. Real quick stats here. Marcus Clarich had 5 goals. Keegan Ball and Curtis Dixon, 1 goal apiece. Not great. That was like 30 shots as well. CJ Kurst, 5 goals. You'll see him later in the show. And Rosie, he kind of slept the entire game, but 37 saves is not too shabby. So, Captain, after spotting Toronto a 10-3 lead and losing 13-10, are you worried about Vancouver?
So, I mean, those outside shots, like, just killed me watching them go by Dubs.
Yeah.
I would worry in a 1-game elimination with Vancouver, because they seem to kind of get in their own heads at times.
Mm-hmm.
And, like I know some teams have these big swings and, we understand going into playoffs are not healthy, but Vancouver seems to kind of get in the same boat. They can't they can't seem to keep a lead when they have it in the second half. And then, a couple games this season, they've given up like a 4 or 5 spot pretty quick and then just haven't
Yeah.
been able to muster their way back.
Yeah.
So yeah, I worry about them getting goalied in a 1-game elimination, but like their decor and
Ooh.
that experience they have on offense with Dixon and Ball and whatnot, even with Delbs, like once you get into a 2-game series, you have a little bit more room to adapt and adjust, which I think Vancouver is very good at, as you've seen in the Toronto game, even though they got out hustled and out mustered right off the get-go. By the third quarter, like they had made some of the change
Adjustments.
make. Yeah. So I worry in a 1-game elimination of them getting goalied, but I'll take them in a two-game series all day.
That's a great take. I didn't think it existed, but you Captain, you found a way. That was because I'll give you my answer in just a second here, but I'm like, is there a scenario where Vancouver is better in a 3-game series and they're more likely to lose? And if that's a great take. Because you're right, like they do seem a little bit selfish for some odd reason, even though their stats may not show it. It's like they don't seem like they're together. Like the Rush seem together. That like there's no like the Black Bears, which we'll get to, seem like they're teammates, and these guys are kind of like superstar veterans, superstar budding stars. Like, I don't know who gets to eat, Wow, it's a great take. My answer to am I worried about Vancouver? No. I'm terrified for Vancouver. Toronto in a face-off battle that I believe was 50-50. Toronto still smoked them like cigars, 83-63 in loose balls. That's hard to do. They went into the barn and once again smacked the booty cheeks. And again, Ball and Dixon combined for 2 goals and 30 shots. That's not sustainable. And when you can't even get up for this game, Toronto should be at an emotional low. I know sometimes players deny that stuff, but you can't pretend like, besides the rookies, obviously, even the rookies, even they know it. They know Buffalo owns Toronto. Like, it's like the meme of, like, the dad with the kids, like, it's the Buffalo Bandits player and 2 or 3 Rock players on his shoulders. Like, that's what this is. And I don't know why Toronto, after that letdown, was able to walk into your barn. Nice cup, was able to walk into your barn and spank you. I don't get it. Like, why was Kurt Malofsky's team not up for this game? And why did Malofsky leave Delbs to have his stats, like, obliterated? Because that was not a good game for him. I don't know, man. That was rough. Is that like, I hate it. I see the one. I used to hate that too. I kind of like it now. I ain't gonna lie. It's kind of fun for some reason.
So it makes the next round quite interesting if you get an upset in that first round. But
you ready to go to Halifax?
Yeah, let's do it.
I think they're back.
I got the cup ready.
Right. So the Thunderbirds, we'll do the cup afterwards. How's that? But the Thunderbirds defeat the Desert Dogs 13-11. I don't know why this happened, but Tyrell Hammer-Jackson, I feel like his day job is getting paid to play lacrosse. Like, it's weird. But he was a healthy scratch. So that was an interesting piece of this. Again, face-offs don't matter. I get it, but I'm just saying. 10,112 attendance was the attendance of the week there in Halifax, and they put on a show. I told people in my narrative that the winner of this game was going to feel really good, and the loser was going to feel like they were frauds the entire season. Well, Halifax is 5-7. Vegas falls to 4-7, and Halifax spotted them a 5-1 lead. Clark Peterson and then old man Stephen Keogh each had a hat trick. Warren Hill, 42 more saves. Somehow both Kells and Hill survived playing the entire game each. But Captain, before we get to your Tim Hortons Cup there, free affiliates, should Halifax be buyers or sellers at the trade deadline in about an hour and 48 minutes?
I would believe with the fan base they have that's still showing up, this is a good time to be a seller.
Right.
There's a couple vets that, a few teams could use for a deep playoff run. I would even arguably say like Hill might be a piece that somebody could pick up, for a long run, depending. But yeah, I feel like they should sell at this point. They got a strong fan base, so to have a couple losing seasons, probably wouldn't hurt them too much.
Yeah. Captain, I battle with this one again. We're about to get to your cup thing, but I battle with this so much. Like in my head, I'm like the classic Michael Karvelis on Daily Dive cake is to say they should be buyers because they're selling out the barn. But then the more I've watched the league and understood things, I'm going to say sellers, and fans might hate it. But here's my thing: they've built their fan base up with the choke jobs and letdowns, and I feel like their fan base has suffered, and they're still packing out the barn. I believe it was Adam Levy had a tweet like their most sellouts, but their most attendances of 10,000 or more in a row in like franchise history, or whatever that stat was. It was like good for them. I say sellers, and Michael Grace from Halifax said, "Who do you think they should sell?" I'll give you some trade deadline stuff here. For some reason, I saw like Warren Hill floated around. I don't know about that one. I feel like Kurt Stiers might just keep him until he like falls off the rails there. Like they would have traded him a long time ago. I feel like if they were going to trade him now, unless his value is at an all-time high, that's an interesting fact of that too. But I still feel like, Dawson Feed was the first domino. Like Randy Stotts or Cody, even if Cody Jamieson retires and goes on the coaching stuff, I don't know. But yet, one of these guys is going to be surprising and take the fall. Or my hot take on Friday, this might be a sleepy trade deadline. I don't know. I kind of either want to see Randy Stotts or Clark Peterson. Oh, so are they moving the trade deadline? I don't know. I think it was noon Eastern before. It's 3. Whatever it is, I'm just saying it's odd to me. Halifax, in my opinion, is going to have to make some tough decisions, but I would not be surprised if they stay on their hands because they can still make a run, technically. I don't know. I'm ready for the cup. That was a bad answer by me.
Well, should we figure out what the cup thinks about Halifax?
Yeah, will they make the playoffs? Is that what we're doing again?
Yeah.
Let's do it. And again, explain that little promotion they're doing. I just want to see it again.
It's the roll up the rim.
Roll up the rim.
I think we got another couple weeks left of it. So last week we both predicted that we think the Seals wouldn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But the cup rolled up a winner, which means that they would make the playoffs.
That's one.
This week, I don't believe Halifax will make the playoffs. That's my opinion.
I don't.
My opinion doesn't matter.
Huh?
Because if the cup rolls up a winner, then the cup believes Halifax will make the playoffs.
Cup knows everything.
We're gonna find out. What do you think? Is Halifax making the playoffs? You didn't give me your.
I don't know.
No,
I don't think so. I think they've already shown me enough. I can't trust them in a gimme game.
All right, see what the cup says. Oh my goodness! Is that back-to-back winners on this show?
Oh, I keep thinking that's like a French word. It just says win / something. Okay, I got it.
Gagne. I can't even pronounce it. Yeah, it's win in French. So back-to-back weeks, we've rolled up some winners.
So what do you win personally from that? Just because you roll up a winner, though. Another cup?
Yeah, this one's I get to go back get another coffee. They got all kinds of crazy prizes on here.
For Timmy Hortons, man.
But it's not about the prizes. It's about who's making the playoffs. And the cup
Great point, babe. But people had to know, like, did you, like Monopoly stuff, we go like a free small fry. Like, what do I look skinny? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I eat that small fry on the way to eating fries.
My man. Pow. It blows up. Black Bears defeat the Mammoth. I have an interesting stat for you because Ottawa improved to 8-5. And I tweeted out a little stat just because I was literally bored at work at like 4 or 5 in the morning. And guess what I found out? Not only I'll get to this again to make sure. Not only is Jeff Teat's team on a 4-game winning streak, which ties them for the longest of his tenure there, and that goes back to the Riptide in 2024. What if I told you this is the first time in Jesus Teat's career that he has been 3 games over 500 or better? It was always 2. So 8-5, listen, man, the best player in the world allegedly is 3 games over 500. Yes! I don't care.
Doing it. They're doing it, Harry.
I say I don't care. But, Captain, I'll be honest, man. I sent out a tweet for my narrative this week, and the Ottawa Black Bears wins this year are gross. It doesn't make sense the teams they beat. Again, I'll remind the people I'm looking to the question here. Ottawa's wins this year versus Saskatchewan. That was the first of their comebacks. At Buffalo, they're still above water. At Calgary, at Colorado, Captain, oh my gosh. With those 4 games intact, with them winning against the Mammoth, how much respect out of 10 do you have for Troy's Black Bears come playoff time? What?
Troy, take a phone call right now, but put it on mute for a second.
Woof.
Man, I'm not quite sure if I want to give credit to Ottawa on this victory. Last week, that grind, 100%, that comeback in the last 2 minutes, I don't care who you are. That's something that, like, you know,
that was one of the best of all time. Yes.
Colorado has had a couple games this season where I don't know if it's the fact that they lose their identity or other teams just kind of, you know, play the game to their style type of deal. But fair. 38 shots on goal.
Yeah, Higgins didn't do much.
Yeah, like, I mean, he didn't do much, but in some cases, having less shots for a goalie can be a little bit more difficult because, you know, that's when I call out guys like Rosie, like, you know, you went 4 or 5 minutes without a shot and you let the first one in. Like, sometimes those are more difficult situations to be in.
That's true.
But I wouldn't just discredit Higgins in this game, but I feel like Colorado didn't put up the offense they normally do at home, especially when in some cases I think they were up to like 14 goals for at home.
And when their barn's loud, it is buzzing.
Yeah, and funny enough, like, it seems like Ottawa, you know, coming from a quiet barn, they seem to thrive in these loud, hectic arenas. So, you know, there's a few things we're learning about this team right now, and that should probably tell you that we need more of the Ottawa community to get out and get butts in that seat when they got home games.
Well, so what was your number out of 10? How confident were you? Like, is it like a 3, or how low are we going here?
No, I'll give her a 5.
Average. Yeah. You respect them.
That if we're just basing it off of this week, that I'd give him a 5. But if you wanted to talk to me the same question after last week's nitty gritty comeback there, you know, I'd be leaning more of a 7.
Oh, you know what's funny? You say 5. That's about the time of minutes major that the player puts on Brendan O'Neill. I don't know if you saw that hit. That all the Canadians got real about. Only when it happens to Canadians, man. I'm telling you what. Poor America. Let it happen to anyone else but Brendan O'Neill, and we raise our arms up. Anyways, I'm not starting that conversation. I just thought it was funny. I went 7.5, actually, because those wins are eventually becoming a pattern more than a one-off. Like, when you beat those 4 teams like that, it's not nothing. It's something, as some sports media shows say. And I like what you did, like with the whole, was it a good win or a bad loss? Love that, by the way. That's a great conversation, too. Kind of like we'll keep that one on the back burner for like a couple of weeks from now, overreaction questions. And you're right. Colorado kind of plays the Vancouver game a little bit sleepy. Like, why are you being so sleepy? And like, why Why are you 5-5 at the end of 3 quarters? That's gross. And even Jeff Teat, he was very nice about this, but he kind of backed into the answer of, they're a great team, but we kind of figured them out. That's kind of what he said, but he didn't say because he's nice and he's a professional. But we kind of got their numbers. Okay. By the way, and this is a great point, you said Ottawa doesn't have a great identity. Like, what kind of game do they want to play? It seems like they can play any brand of basketball you want. And I kind of like that more.
Yeah, they're, like I say, they're a scary team at times. And
yeah.
They're walking out of Bandit Land and the Loud House with wins. Like, come on.
This is gross. I looked at all the stats and forgot about this one. That's disgusting. Hey, what'd you do last night? What bar were they at last night?
Is that net regulation size or what?
Woo! Uh-oh. Yeah, Dan McRae went in there and snipped the sides of it and cropped it a little bit. He put it in photo shelter. Captain's not laughing. Anyway, moving on. So only nerds got the joke, okay? The Calgary Roughnecks, nice shirt, by the way. Nice Pro-Joy jersey, okay? I do like that thing.
My fave.
Listen, dude, there have been a lot of outcomes this year that have perplexed me. This is one of them. Calgary did not just beat Rochester. They didn't allow a comeback. They had no mercy. I'm like, I have a really bad take that might give ammo to other podcasts or podcast on, is this guy truly an NLL fan? Captain, they can clip this if they want it. Going from the third quarter of the Toronto-Vancouver game to watching whatever the Boar Fest that game was in Rochester is kind of what I'm like, okay, I kind of see it. I kind of get where we're at right now. Because the broadcast was terrible. Anyone who watches the Rochester House home game understand how just oh, wow, Ryan Smith scored 3. And it's that's pretty much all I do the entire game. So it's weird. I know I got a question to get to you here, but I wanted to rant a little bit about that because it was odd. And then you throw on the fact that Calgary just smacked some. I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, Calgary won 14-7. Captain, the question is, trade deadline's looming. If you're the Calgary GM, his name is Mike Board. I think I gave him actually my GM of the year last year. If I had a vote, would you trade the young people? I mean, there's Braden Maye did that nastiness again.
No, I don't believe you're going to, get rid of young guys. The whole point, a fan perspective of the Roughnecks this season, the whole point was we're going to kind of give these guys a chance and then kind of build off of what we believe their identity is. Obviously, hoping that it's a positive one. And I believe with some of the outcomes they've had this season, take away the Edmonton game, the unbox game there, they've been into most of these
That's a good
games.
Point.
Even
it's been the fourth quarter where it falls off the track. That's a good point.
Yeah, even playing against Saskatchewan and going into to Rochester after they beat up Saskatchewan too. Calgary seems to be able to hold their own. I don't think there's any need to panic. I know fans are probably a little upset after what happened last season at the trade deadline and falling off the rails in the playoffs. Not the outcome we all wanted. But I see a lot of positives with this team moving forward, especially after a season like this.
Yeah, there was no expectations. Kind of like the Philadelphia Wings. There's no one expected you to do well.
Yeah, and the other side of it is I don't really see that Calgary holds any pieces that other teams need to make a run. I think this season is going to be a little bit quieter in the trade deadline. I obviously hope to be proved wrong because the more that happens, the more, that we get to talk about and the more that, gets drawn for eyes to the league again. But I think it's going to be a sleepy trade deadline. I don't think Calgary is really going to do much unless there's some way that a team really wants one of their pieces. But
the issue is, it's funny because during this amazing broadcast, they get droned on about every possible thing you could say about a normal trade deadline. Oh, this team wants Calgary stinks right now, and so obviously Tyler Pace going home to Vancouver would make sense. Tanner Cook, Hayden Dixon, both pretty good players, especially from the right system for a contender. Braden Maillet, Noah Manning, guys like that are pretty interesting. But I'm like, that seems like a pretty good core. Now, I'm going to be honest here. I wouldn't mind seeing Tyler Pace join your friends in Vancouver, dude. That's inevitable. Instead of do the whole contract garbage when you know what he wants to do, I think we know what he wants to do. Why not build around Tanner Cook, Hayden Dixon, and Noah Manning, and Braden Maillet, all those guys? Aiden Walsh has shown if you give him some help, he's not a bad goalie by any means.
Yeah, if you think who would you think he would replace if they traded him to Vancouver?
Tyler Pace?
Yeah,
it would just be another cog in the machine.
Because that's where I was kind of looking. I don't think some of these teams have space. Unless an injury or something had come up, but we're already into the last day of the trade deadline.
I guess so it's luxury. It's luxury pieces,
Yeah,
and that's what's interesting. That was pretty much our thoughts on that game. What a gross! That was just awful. Connor Fields had 1 goal on 15 shots on goal, and I want to give a shout out to the Roughnecks defense. This was not just Nighthawks laid an egg. Roughnecks had a bunch of good defensive plays. Nighthawks had a lot of point blank shots, and Aiden Walsh said no. That was pretty good.
and Walsh
Hartley did not play a full game, like I said.
Yeah, goaltending issues there. I've enjoyed watching or reading some of the fan reactions to the goalie situation there.
Great. I don't know if you saw the JT Flood reaction yet.
But yeah, I think Walsh doesn't get Walsh and that D-core don't get as much credit as they should, because 57 shots by Rochester. That's
wasn't easy.
No, it wasn't.
Wasn't easy being military green. No, I lied. This was their red, their black and red Spider-Man. That was kind of cool. All right, Firewolves defeat the Wings 13-12. This game was about to get away from Oshawa. And then they kept them.
Both teams.
Yeah, so they kept them right there. Easy little brothers. You're still the expansion possibility or relocation team. Dare I say folding chairs? Oshawa's up to 3-10. Philadelphia falls to that record. Brandon O'Neill, 5 goals, including 2 late ones. You count those, but it got them within 1, so I guess I'll count them. Dyson had 3 goals. Ty Kurtz had 4 goals. Dawson Theed has settled in nicely to the offense, I'll say. It's a shame their defense forgot how to play, but it is what it is, especially Dougie. I didn't know what to do with this game, so I guess we're going to do which team has a brighter future. You can take that with franchise, whatever you want to do there, pal.
I was looking at on and off the floor bright futures.
Glenn Clark will do great in media, but go ahead.
Yeah. So the Firewolves off the floor versus Philly off the floor. We know what's kind of going on with, potentially the arena.
Right.
One team has entered a new barn and one team might be exiting an old barn.
Trying to find one, yeah.
Yeah. So off the floor, Oshawa has the most exciting future. On the floor, my goodness. These are 2 teams I expected to do a little better than they are.
Wow.
I'm gonna lean Oshawa has a little bit of a brighter future.
Dyson, Simmons, Dougie.
Yeah. And this is the best part of having me make takes on this. I don't know each roster, each player, each move, each thing. So when I talk about Halifax making moves and Calgary not making moves, I don't know enough to to know contracts and living situations and stuff.
You've only hit 3 safe letters. You don't know a lot.
Yeah,
You know a little bit.
In my eyes, I look at the Firewolves and I think they're just one change away from kind of discovering a new identity, and unfortunately, like, I just keep leaning to the coach, and again, me not having any sort of information on anything. If Oshawa were to get rid of their coach, divide up the GM and coach role, I think they'll have a much brighter future in that that new barn going forward versus what's happening in Philly. I think Philly's caught in between more of, are we gonna start rebuilding, or do we find a couple pieces? Where I think Oshawa, they have the pieces. They just need to kind of put the 60-minute formula together, in my mind. And maybe coaching is what'll kind of shake that up a little bit.
I don't know if you caught this, but at halftime of every game this weekend, they were doing the NLL Wired from last week. And the game that happened was Dan McRae's Black Bears going into Oshawa, which is a great game to choose out of random, and Glenn Clark's Firewolves blowing another lead. And it was interesting seeing the sideline. They kind of said similar things, but the vibe I got from Glenn Clark was bipolar. And the vibe I got, obviously when you're blowing leads, I understand why that may happen or may appear to be that way. The vibe I got from Dan McRae the entire time, at least what they showed, was positive, keep fighting. And again, like I'm not going to pretend the fight, it's all Glenn Clark's fault. I'm not going to sit there and act like, oh, if only they fired a coach, bam, that's the answer. Because it's not the answer. But evidently what Dan McRae did in Ottawa, they were awful. And they've been, little tipsy-daisy this year, but they've gotten 4 quality wins. And it's been really awesome comebacks, showing that, the coach is yelling, we suck. Dan McRae's like, hey, you're awesome. You're still in this. I don't know if that's helping them. I don't know I don't think there's a perfect formula for that. But I do like the fact that Dan McRae is Mr. Family, Mr. Positive, Mr. Believe in yourself. It seems to work right now. And one team's 3-10 and one team is 8-5. Now, to this question, though, and then we'll take a commercial break here. I think Philadelphia's got a brighter future. And I dumped it down to Brandon O'Neill. Michael Sowers belongs in there too. People want to talk about the Americans, and I'm not a national pride guy. I think everyone that actually watches this show knows I don't care about that kind of stuff. Like when Canadians lost, I could care less about anything Olympics sometimes. But I appreciate O'Neill and Sowers, and I do think the Wings. I haven't heard much drama from them. It might be because, they were supposed to suck, and look at them, look at the little ponies go, they still suck. But part of me was like, they're not negative. And it might be lack of media coverage in Philadelphia. I don't know. But Oshawa's been like, a bunch of like dramatic stuff, like, oh, we don't know what's going on. Calgary, they kind of lost their temper a couple of times. Philadelphia's like, we are who we are. And if the best case scenario is they move to a local barn, like 30 minutes down the road or less, then they're feeling okay. The worst thing that you can do to this team is just break, like fold it, and then it goes into expansion draft, because then they're screwed. But right now, I'll take my licks and I'll say, you know what? I like the way the Wings just don't complain. They know they suck. They're going to get better. It's not going to be this year by any means. But they're putting up a fight. They did beat the band, so that's another quality even for them. It is what it is, though. The problem is I believed in the Firewolves for so long, and they let me down. Like, how could I believe in you at all at this point?
Yeah, we've had our hearts broken a few too many times.
Yeah,
our hearts and our parlays.
Ladders, all of it. When we come back, Is it time for a change? I have a feeling more people are watching this than I expected because the first big NLL trade was announced, and it involved a show letting us take the airwaves of YouTube for the first couple of hours. So we appreciate you. Doesn't matter. We'll be right back to Daily Dive. Captain and myself have got some couple of things you wanted to say. Is it time for a change? Don't go anywhere. I know you won't.
You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening.
Welcome back to Daily Dive, the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talks from the plant. I am your host, Michael Karvelis, reminding you before we get to this segment to head over to natalkradio.com and click the event tickets tab today. Support the show and all of the hard work we put into it, which is basically voluntary efforts. With that being said, I want to bring back on today's guest, Captain, as he wants to answer the question, is it time for a change? Captain, you have the floor.
All right, buddy. It's been a fun season this year. Been a fan of this sport for quite a few years now, and I've been around to a few barns, talked to a few people. There's this odd notion, sort of weird belief that this league sort of run and all supported by this lacrosse community, and the more I look into it, I start to uncover some, odd sort of trends and characteristics and things happening amongst this, community. And I'll make some people uncomfortable and whatnot, because at the end of the day, all I'm doing is asking questions. So, as media people, that's what everyone's job is, right? If you see something, you hear something, you ask the questions and you try to figure out, what's the root cause of what happened or what's happening and all this. So one of the most important things with the NLL to keep in mind is that the demographic of our fan base isn't these old guys that have played the sport their whole life. It's a lot of, younger families, casual fans. Like you'll see, later on in the season when we put out some of our segments where we've, interviewed different fans from different fan bases. But a lot of these, a lot of the people that are supporting our teams and our podcasts and our league are newcomers. They're casual people. They're many of these people have never played the sport. So, and I'll be honest, like I'm one of them. So when I watch and see people, that are representing teams of the league, and bigger parts, like obviously they should be held to a higher standard. So when I see some of these, professionals, essentially shitting on new fans and new opinions to the game, I mean, as a fan and a supporter of the league, I have every right to ask questions. And what I'm shocked about is not the answers to the questions, it's the reaction of the community towards Daily Dive and myself for asking the questions to begin with. And I'll touch first on, the incidents I had with Jake Elliott. You work for a team that relies on, new fans to support the team, and your public comments are, basically discrediting anybody of their opinion because they've, been a fan of the league for lesser than somebody else or whatever. And okay, like we're all going to disagree on things, but why are we negatively attacking, new fans? So of course, as a a fan myself, I'm going to reach out and ask, hey, like what is going on here? And rather than kind of get, an answer to the belief of this person that's representing a team, like I'm getting other people with bigger platforms saying, hey, like, let's not discuss this sort of thing. Like, why can't we discuss these negative comments? Like what's the problem with this? So, that's just scratching the surface on that. Like we had our talk and we went our ways about it. I still don't have an exact answer on why, a person representing a team, attacked the casual fan, other than, it being more of a personal attack towards an individual, which again is also another sort of issue that's kind of come into light. But yeah, just so as I kind of continue my sort of look at different things that people say and believe in publicly, and ask the questions, like I'm oh, give me one second, I just got to get my notes here. 1 second, Mike.
There you go. So we appreciate you tuning into this episode of Daily Dive. I will say what I'm thinking next. Captain will add himself to the stage whenever he's ready. Again, I've held punches, and I'll leave it at that, because I don't want people to think this is some, hey, feel sorry for us, we need a therapy session. This is us being regular media members. And Kevin, can you give me the thumbs up or thumbs down on whether or not I can keep going here? Okay, so here's what's bothered me, because a lot of people, and I've heard other players have said, like star players, have said they appreciate when I don't respond. My issue with not responding, though, is when you're attacked as a person who's supposed to be in the media. I have not done it as long as other people. I have not really picked up a lacrosse stick, but once in my life in Missoula, Montana, and I voluntarily love doing this. And I'll let you go in a minute. I love doing what I do, and yet constantly, I've got haters. Those are actually kind of fun. Like I follow some of those guys back and just say, "Hey, I enjoy the back and forth." What I don't like is when some people who we'll address shortly here are haters and then given a platform to hate. And as Captain mentioned earlier, we're not questioning why it's allowed. Like other sports don't allow this they allow it, but it gets to a certain, even Barstool Dave Portnoy has to walk back his unprofessionalism sometimes because he's held accountable. And when we are the only people with a daily show, maybe that is part of the cards that we play. It's frustrating. And one last thing I'll say, and I'll let you go, Captain, is this. I'm a new voice. I'm a new fan. I've been transparent about this in year 4. When I first started watching the NLL, that was when I first started doing a daily show. Period. End of story. I am a new fan. And the problem is, I will not be the last of the new fans. And I will not be the last of the people with a podcast on this sport. And so it's depressing. I'll get to the mental health thing after you go, Captain, but I am what you guys want to grow the game, and you're not letting me help you. So I'll leave it at that, and then I'll continue after you go.
Yeah. So here's where I was getting at with this is, like I say, I'm constantly being told, you can't say anything negative about people, this, that, the other thing. While I've been, kind of in my questioning mode lately, I'm asking that, if I have said anything negative about anyone, like show me and let's discuss it. But all I'm doing is asking questions. And prime example, I'm push some buttons here.
Which one do you want first? Which one do you want first?
We'll do
the DM or the tweet.
No, we'll do this one first. So this is the problem here, and this is when I aired out this, I've actually got a bigger response than I thought. So what does time in the community mean? And so when I'm asking like, hey, like why are we attacking people, and who are these, who are the people that are, wanting to help, support these attacks? So I'm just asking questions. And the shocking part is I'm having players that have reached out to me based on this and saying, hey, so, like we don't agree, we're not part of this community of players that are here to support somebody calling out someone on a regular basis. It's also important to know that like history repeats itself. And I'm noticing that, when I'm out asking questions, people are putting pressure on me not to ask these questions. I've even had, so I've had players reach out to me saying, hey, we're not part of this negative community. In the same token, I've also had people with platforms reach out and say, hey, if you're going to continue to ask these questions, like we're going to take your sources away. And this is where I laugh, because I'm a degenerate gambler, but my sources are right here for what I'm going to bet on. So when Michael stands up for himself and people threaten him, I understand why he wants to kind of go back into a shell. But when I stand up and ask questions and people threaten me, I don't know what you're trying to do, because I'm not scared. Players are reaching out to me supporting what I'm doing. So this is actually being a more positive result to me, just by showing that, yeah, there's cancer within our community. And again, I I'm not here to throw people under the bus. I'm not here to call people out, but like when certain people get attacked, people stay quiet. When other people get attacked, there's, this notion that no, you're not allowed to ask these questions. You're not allowed to pursue this. And like,
just for the record, and I want to spin it back to Jake, not calling Jake out personally, but remember when you went to my defense with Jake, that's when other people got, it was not the entire time I'm getting attacked. It was after. And it's like, well, what's really out of bounds morally here?
well, and also know that like when I went to have my discussion with Jake, I was not defending you. I'm defending anybody that's a new fan because his
Right.
statement is an attack to guys like myself, to good guys like Troy, to probably more than what are we up to? Like 15 or more people we've interviewed. Naj of the Oshawa Firewolves. This is his first season pumping up that crowd. Could you imagine if the play-by-play announcer in Oshawa says, "Hey, Naj, buddy, you got to be quiet. It is your first year. Your opinion doesn't matter." Like, no, man.
Instead of educating, they drag him down instead. Yeah.
Yeah. So for once, I'm standing, somebody like me is standing up and saying, "Hey, like, let's support the newcomers. Let's build the newcomers up." And what's scary is that the old boys are jumping in my DMs to say, if you don't quiet down, like we're going to take your sources away. It's just going to make me louder because I don't have no sources. Everything I do is right here. This show is a prime example. Hey man, Halifax should trade some people. Who should they trade? I don't know. I know they got some old guys, but I couldn't tell you whose contracts what and what not because I'm not an insider. I don't care to be an insider because if being an insider means that I'm going to sit on the sidelines and let somebody make a statement like this. So I was able to not only prove this statement wrong, but also kind of ask like, hey, why would one podcast platform use a member of the lacrosse community
A
to
nice
attack
member, by the way.
another platform? And what's even more, like I say, actions speak louder than words. So I'm bringing this to light. I'm giving people a chance to say, hey, this is true. This is not true. Everything I'm asking is saying, I'm bringing facts to the table. And I'm asking people like this, hey, can you back this up with facts? If not, then this is an attack, a senseless attack. History does repeat itself. And if people don't want to stand up and ask the questions and fight for the little guy, then this is going to continue. And people are going to go and sneakishly not tag, and try to, put a platform against another platform. Like all I'm doing is bringing stuff to light and all I'm doing is showing that, hey, the little guy needs a voice. The little guy supports this league. And, until we start standing up for the little guy, this is going to continue. I'm proving it. I can show you more DMs of people that are saying, hey, we've been on this other show and we don't agree with what they're doing. We don't agree with the negativity. And again, like, show me where I have like actually attacked somebody and
Unwarranted too.
and shit on anybody. No, I haven't. What I'm doing is asking questions. I'm getting more answers. Yeah, there's a lot more that I want to discuss and bring up, but I'm still getting DMs. I'm still uncovering the story. So I could be lazy and I could just throw up some sort of, hey, this person, I'm going to put one platform against another, or I can actually do what media is supposed to do. I can gather all sides of the story. I can support what I want to say with facts. I can defend the little guy with facts. And, like, unfortunately, this old boys club, I've yet to see any facts or merit to support any of their baseless attacks. All I'm getting is, hey man, be quiet or we'll damage your show. Like, enough of this.
Let me first of all, thank you for and again, I want to make what you said clear. You're not defending just Michael or just Dilly Dive, even though you have put your financial resources into some of this, and your time. You are. I didn't know you even a year and a half or 2 years ago. Really, you were lumped in because you were Osmond Ladders, and we have gotten along. But folks, I'm not paying him. He feels the same way I do somehow, though, because he's putting his effort into something that's being protected. And then whenever he finds out something, it's unfair on his end to figure out why it's being said or why it's being protected. Kind of like Lacrosse Canada. It's like, why is no one allowed to say anything? One of my biggest flexes in doing all of this was when people would come to me with stuff like Lacrosse Canada and say, hey, talk about this. Why is anybody scared to? Like, there's not enough money involved here. Unless it's, quite frankly, drugs or something, why should anybody be scared? Unless there's criminal things going on. And I don't think there is. And I'm not going to get on here and pretend there is. And so I've been doing podcasting for, I believe it was 8 years was the Facebook, 9 years was the Facebook memory I got. The last 4 have been lacrosse because I was like, oh, wow, this is the sport I love. And I've done nothing but feel like I'm not good enough because people with platforms tell me it's true. But yet newer and casual fans are tuning in.
Yes.
And so what really is the issue here with Daily Dive or anybody?
Yeah, the other part too is, like, you've made it very clear that there's room for another daily show, and I don't know.
Great job over there on TikTok.
I don't know if well, and I'll bring up anything lacks, like, in what he said recently about the whole, like, we're supposed to prop each other up in the whole bit. Like, I agree with it. We are supposed to prop each other up, but what I'm finding is that we're clearly not, and nobody, really wants to stand up for each other. We're just kind of letting certain people,
yes, I agree.
Yeah. So, we've made it, well, you've made it like very clear that, there's room for another show. And I'll be honest, like, I don't agree with everything you say and all your opinions, but
you shouldn't.
That's why we're all able to, respectfully talk to each other. But for some odd reason, like, there's certain people that if they don't agree, then they're allowed to disrespect the person with the opinion in it, and then, like, belittle them personally. And so I don't quite understand it. But at the end of the day, I think what people have to realize is, and I say this a lot when I'm out and about, is look at TSN, for example. They have Sports Center every day of the week. They have Jay. It used to be Jay and Dan.
Right.
Now it's Jay on right, as well as Sports Center. There's a reason why they have two. Because some people like the dry, this is the review.
Yeah.
But some people like the goofy, the different side of things, the little bit more fun and whatever, right? So
Scott Van Pelt in our Sports Center down here, yeah.
Yeah, so it's why I chuckle. Like, everybody in this sort of community thinks that it should go this way. And Edmonton's a prime example. Like, they gave the lacrosse community a chance to show what it's about. And whatever, you guys can say what you want, but as a longtime fan, I'm telling you right now, the fact that they did not match Calgary's home crowd in Edmonton, tells you a lot. And they relied on this lacrosse community to fill that place. I had good friends that are sports fans that were in Edmonton that weekend, that were at the Oilers game the night before, had not one clue that there was a lacrosse game the next night. So we're showing that, like, we need to branch away from this community. We need to start giving more light to the little guys. We need to start, like guys like Anything Lax. Listen, I love you and I know what you're trying to do, but there's a bigger picture to this community thing, in this sort of who's allowed to be disrespectful and who's not. And again, like the fact that people are shitting on me for just simply asking questions speaks volumes of like what I'm uncovering, the scandals, the fraud, the just you scratch my back, I scratch yours. And at the end of the day, like I'm not scared to, like, let's talk about it. If you're not willing, you know, like if you're not willing to say this publicly, sorry.
Which one?
The
DM. I got you. That's nope. One more.
Quit clicking buttons. If you got to go into my DMs to say your you know, tinfoiling hat for some NLL players, but can't say this publicly, then yeah, like there's issues. And the fact that players that have been on this show have now reached out to me to say, hey man, like, we don't agree with this, you know, with what he's saying and what he's doing. So yeah, I'm uncovering a lot, and there's going to be more to it as I, you know, go through my DMs. I feel like, why should I tell the story of this old boys club, this podcast, this sort of thing, when you know, players and past guests and other people from the show are saying, hey man, like, I'm right here. If you want to have me on your show to talk about it, we will talk about how we believe that, yeah, this NLL sport needs to shift their mindset so that we can grow our fan base again. Like, you know, unfortunately, it just sucks that, you know, some people are going to fight for the change. But I mean, I've been to 10 different NLL arenas. I talk to people every time I'm there, and I've gone out to now interview these people, and you'll be surprised to know that the majority of our fan base are all brand new fans, man. They haven't played the sport. So yeah, it don't matter how long you've been in the community, because the people that have been here their whole lives aren't putting the dollars out like the newcomers and the people that, you know, we need to start shining light on.
Love that. I won't add much. I'll just say this, and I'll again thank you, Captain, for being willing to be positive in all of that and be unapologetic at the same time. You were not attacking people, so you were very good there. I just want to add again, I think I'm the target audience because I'm the younger, fresher crowd who loves sports. But I don't know why I love this sport so much. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to, like, there have been times like when people that have been on the show have helped me, and I'm forever grateful that they are going to teach me how to, you know, level myself when I say things. But if I say in year 2 that Jeff Teat is not the greatest player on the planet, call me clickbait. Like that, I'm okay with fun stuff like that. But eventually, the piling on becomes a little bit odd. Like, oh, he's doing way too much. And I feel like the most negative I've ever been personally has been toward Paul Rabel. And I bet you he might be a nice guy. I'm actually a goofball in real life. I actually hate having enemies. Which is why I actually don't block people until it's far too late and it's gotten this far. Because I want to be friends with you. I want to love your game. And I don't have to be friends with players. Because media kind of signs up that that's not supposed to happen. Like, you know, I know some guys are on LeBron James's team. I don't want that. I want to talk about a sport that I love and go home to my friends and family like everyone else does. If I'm considering going to a team's game that's in town, and I have to think of, well, will they want to jump me? It's not a sport that's very fun to follow. Or maybe should make a little bit more changes. I'll put it this way. I believe a year from now, I'll feel better about this. At least I hope so.
And I just want you to know that this morning at 9:31 a.m., I was told to smarten up or we'd lose our sources.
Okay.
Welcome to the NLL community, baby.
That was a great send-off. Can I add something before, and then I'll let you go, Captain?
Yeah.
Let me tell folks a little bit of the history of Daily Dive and how it came about just a little bit. Because I don't know who that came from, but I know it didn't come from anybody that I've told that actually mattered about what the sources are. There are maybe 5 people on the planet who know who those sources are, maybe 6. And Captain, I think I've told you this story before. My first source is not even a source anymore. That's the best part about this entire deal. Is they helped me understand the sport was great. After that, it's been all me making friends. Wouldn't you know it? So careful who you expose and wish to expose. Because again, like you said, Captain, skeletons are only scary when you've got some in your closet. Mine's empty.
Mine's full of bet slips that didn't
and broken ladders. I love it. Captain, that was a great, thank you, man, for that. I love you, man. Thank you for being part of this. And even if it doesn't last forever, we will see you, I guess, Friday, hopefully. Until then, adios. Coming up next is Greggy's Grinder and Mike's Lunchbox and 3 stars. Don't go anywhere. Captain's gone. I'm not. Peace. Well, bye, Captain.
You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening.
You ever seen the Pat McAfee show where he goes like, sources? Okay. Oh, wow. Hey, guys. Hope you're having a great time on Daily Dive. Let's get back to lacrosse, please. It's time for 3 stars of a weekend. Before that, I am going to give you my lunchbox. And before that, I'll give you Pat Gregoire's Greggy's Grinder. You never know what comes next. It's the players and teams and whatever. They may not be stars. They might be stars, but how good have they been when no one even noticed? Even if a stat line did not show up. All right. Pat Gregoire's given us 2 nominees. Again, thank you for his time on the show. He, of course, is part of OTCB podcast. I believe I'm making sure I have this correctly here. Their last episode, yes, was the one with Marquez White. I'm actually very happy I watched this side tangent. I'm happy I watched a lot of that NCBS thing because I believe I saw a lot of him with the San Diego Royals. I love that the Seals signed Marquez White. It might take a long time for NCBS to take off or other things to take off, even if that is a solution. If it's not, to growing the game, I don't know. But I love the fact that they signed him. And obviously he had to prove other things. I'm sure he played junior, whatever the crap he played. But Marquez White, being as good as he was, being in the system of the San Diego Royals probably helps a little bit. So that was awesome to see. Shout out to Pat and Teddy for getting that guy. That's pretty cool. All right. Speaking of Pat, how about two Ottawa Black Bears as his nominees? Not too bad. Ethan O'Connor was it's not, oh gosh. Oh no, it's not. That's Riley. Ethan O'Connor, I'm sorry, plays for this year's Halifax Thunderbirds. I was like, where's the player that Pat helped broadcast? There he is. That was bad. I'm sorry. Ethan O'Connor helped the Thunderbirds get to a 13-11 win. And while Pat's not here to talk about how good Ethan O'Connor was, the box score off the top, he got a goal. Good for him. He also had 2 loose balls, 1 caused turnover. But essentially, O'Connor was, again, not doing anything you'd recognize on the box score or on the highlight reel as an average fan. But as a coach like Pat Gregoire is, of both an all-star draft that won and coaches other things and or teams, and is a broadcaster, as an analyst, not just a play-by-play, Ethan O'Connor was doing the dirty work for the Thunderbirds, helping them get a 13-11 victory. Love that pick. The fact that I thought was Raleigh shows you how underrated. He knew I'd stumble on Ethan O'Connor. Now let's get to the Ottawa Black Bear. Callum Jones. Wow. Guys, Callum Jones, I would say, in my opinion, still the defensive player of the year. Probably a universal opinion, obviously, at this point. His stat line against the Mammoth, this was a tough game. This was a 5-5 game after the third quarter. Callum Jones in this game had 1 block, 10 loose balls, 1 caused turnover. Interesting stat about that Callum Jones stat line. 10 loose balls, and your team lost 15-4 on the faceoffs. Again, when you're losing faceoffs and you're still getting double-digit loose balls, that is very tough to do. So he's doing a lot of the dirty work after the play, during the play. Amazing stuff there. And finally, Greggy's Grinder of the Week is going to be Sam English. Folks, it's funny Pat Gregoire went with the Toronto Rock player, because as you'll see, I had a similar mindset. But Sam English, there's been a lot of talk of Owen Hiltz and CJ Kirst, and rightfully so. In fact, in this game, CJ Kirst had 5 goals. But someone else had to make this work. And I'll be honest, I can actually help Pat Gregoire here, because I actually did watch a lot of this game. And folks, the defensive transition of the Rock was amazing. Sam English, every pass in transition was on point. Every defensive shift was spectacular. He was doing everything he needed to do. He had a goal, added 2 assists, also had 12 loose balls. And again, Rowlett was 50-50 against Max Adler, 14-14. So keep that in mind, folks. Sam English, I will admit, he was one of those ones that stood out for me too, even though you'll see how I ended up praising the Rock. But yeah, good job, Sam English. We'll get a graphic later for Greggy's Grinder. I'm going to do a change of pace here, folks. Usually I give some Lunchbox, and it's still going to be called the Lunchbox. But, let's say you're going to work and you're like, I want to drink with my lunch. You put it in this, what year is this cup? This 1980, well, that's the Star Wars thing. Anyways, it's a Burger King with the old logo, a Burger King Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back glass cup, all right? Yeah, okay. We got more Lunchboxes. I just thought I'd change the pace with more vintage stuff. But my Lunchbox is going to be, I've got 2 nominees as well. First nominee, Riley Hutchcraft. Folks, this is the second time I've had him on my list. He only played was it 13 minutes? I want to get to the exact number on that. Because how would you feel if every day you went into work? Yeah, folks, you like your coworker. You think they're great, but they get paid a little more and they have a higher position. Kind of like an assistant manager. How many times are you doing every bit of work for your manager because they have too much on their plates? Folks, Riley Hutchcraft, while Rochester was getting their kit, went in there for 12 and a half minutes. Because as I mentioned Thursday, Rylan Hartley, you can't complete a game against the Roughnecks, man. Come on. So Riley Hutchcraft once again had to clean up a little bit of crumbs, had to sweep the floor, whatever, man. But Rylan Hartley's got the higher ceiling. He's the starter. He's the franchise goalie. If only he was healthy. Folks, Hartley has not been hurt this year. Hutchcraft, the stats this year on him, again, this is with a healthy Rylan Hartley. He's now up to 215 minutes. One of those games, Hartley was suspended. The other one, so he got 60, what was it He got 60 or 80 minutes because of Hartley getting ejected in the first quarter, and then the next game they play, or the 2 games after that, all right? He still has 120, 130 more that we forgot about. Because, again, Hartley's the star. So, Riley Hutchcraft, you're awesome, dude. Great teammate. You let him take all the credit, but you're doing awesome, man. Shout out to Adam Levy, by the way, who actually loved Riley Hutchcraft from day one. Nominee, Ottawa Black Bears coach Dan McCray. I mentioned it before, the NLL Wired from last week when it popped up on the halftime of these broadcasts. And I'll be honest, it once again showed in Denver, back-to-back road games, back-to-back tough ones. What is Dan McCray saying? What is not just he saying, but what is his team echoing? Family, team, belief in yourself, all the boring sayings, but they believe in him. Because Dan McCray believes in the Black Bears. Dan McCray does not seem to be roasting them. Because if he was, I think he would have gotten a few comments in there the way Glenn Clark did for Oshawa. Now, granted, going into that game last week, the Black Bears were a game over 500. The Firewolves were a major disappointment for 2 years in a row. I get why the mindsets are a little bit different here. But Dan McCray is in his first year of this thing. Yeah, adding Rob Hellier is great. Healthy Callum Jones, even better. It means nothing. The Black Bears have believed in whatever he's telling them, and Dan McCray once again coached them to a second-half comeback/close game win. The Black Bears have ice in their veins, period. My winner of my lunchbox is that Toronto Rock defensive transition units. I told you guys before, I tweeted it, I said on the show, I'll say it again. That third quarter, when Vancouver was giving their 110%, Toronto Rock, after an emotional failure and letdown last week, the Rock came into Vancouver, punched Vancouver early, and then kept them at arm's length when they tried to punch back. Kind of like me when I got attacked by semi-pro football referees. Wouldn't you know it? But great job of the Toronto Rock defensive transition. I couldn't name just one guy. Latrell Harris was bouncy. Brad Cree was amazing. Nick Rose was awesome. The entire D and transition unit was spectacular. And get well soon to Robert Hudson. It looked a little bit non-contact. I hope he's okay. I haven't heard the update, but I felt bad for him because someone might have gotten hurt in that game. There was one penalty the entire game, and I believe it was a penalty shot by Challen Rogers. But that entire game was just bare knuckle, Fight Club. It was best athletes in the world the drama coming in for the storylines of the game, and then the flat out amazing execution. Everything was top notch. That's one of the games, kind of like that Rock Bandits game from a year ago with Elijah Gash KOing Zach Belter. It was that intense and that awesome. Finally, it's time for our 3 stars of the weekend. Third star will go to CJ Kirst. This is CJ Kirst's 3rd time getting on this list. Every time, it's been a 3rd star. 5 goals, 8 loose balls. Not too shabby for the kid. 2nd star is going to go to Aiden Walsh. Aiden Walsh, how's a 50 spot in Rochester on a Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern? Not too bad, Mr. Walsh. Not too bad for a guy who's on a team with an over-under win of 6, I believe. And then a guy who was Del Bianco's for, like, the guy who got replaced by Del Bianco. Aiden Walsh has bumped all that. 2nd star of the week in week 15 when my team is awful. Now, granted, the Roughnecks defense was spectacular. So that has to matter, which is why he only got the 2nd star. But he stopped some point-blank shots. He deserved this. And my 1st star, I'm going to say this now before anybody else does. At 11:23 a.m. Eastern Time on Monday, March the 9th, Jeff Teat has closed the gap on Brett Dobson for MVP. I understand that Brett Dobson is having a legendary season that will go down in history. Guys, Jeff Teat's team might finish with a better record. I know that right now the standings show that Georgia was a game above them. Georgia's 8-4, Ottawa's 8-5. Folks, we don't know if Brad Dobson will finish the season with 85% save percentage. 85.7 through 15 weeks, amazing. But Jeff Teat is right there on a team that we've said for years is going to make the playoffs, and when they do, he'll be MVP. He keeps playing awesome. They keep winning games. Jeff Teat might get his MVP, but, buddy, I'm telling you now, that last week of the season, I don't know if Brad Dobson will have it settled in yet. And I'm curious to know if voters will finally give it to Jeff Teat just because his team does make the playoffs. We shall see. There's 6 or 7 weeks to go. Where are we? Week 16 now? We're like 5 or 6 weeks to go, folks. Anything can happen. And I don't think it's over yet. I think if Brett Dobson finishes 84-85, he wins it. I'm not saying he'll fall off a map, but you don't have to fall off a map to dip below 84%. And at that point, there's been guys that have done that. And so the historic value no longer applies. And I do think if the Black Bears finish with a similar record and they both make the playoffs, Jeff Teat is right there with him. I'm curious to see how I feel and others feel as well. He's also our 1st star. A fun fact, I was doing some 3 stars career rankings for myself. I've been doing the 3 stars thing since the 2023-24 season. So that's 2 years ago. Jeff Teat, that was his 4th 1st star award. Brett Dobson has 5. Connor Fields has 4 for me. And he now has 23 star points, which now leapfrogs Connor Fields. And I believe, so Connor Fields still has yet to make it on 3 stars this year. Wow. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. North American Talk Radio on YouTube. I will react to the trade deadline then, and if there's nothing, I'll still react to it. You've been watching Dilly Dive. We'll see you later. Thanks for sticking through it. We are the new NLL fans. And if you're here as an older guy, I got love for you too, bro. Bye.